Good afternoon, everyone. I will just be given a minute to allow you guys to come in before we take it up from here. Okay, like I said, I'll be giving you just a minute. Yes, I will just take it up from here, even as most people join us. Good afternoon once again. For those of you guys that are joining us for the first time, my name is Gagba Esahaya, and I'm one of the training coordinators with the Temple Small Business Development Center. At the Temple Small Business Development Center helps small business start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no-cost webinars. We are part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business Development Center, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. We're here this afternoon for a webinar on selling online, what you need to know. A copy of the PowerPoint and the link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Being a webinar, all the attendees have been muted. However, we always encourage you guys to drop your questions on the Q&A or the chat box. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome my wonderful speaker, even as she takes over the floor for the presentation. Jen, you are welcome.
Thank you, Garba. Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to learn about selling online and what you need to know. Just a little bit about me. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Brand Swan. I've been a business owner for over 14 years, and I've designed a lot of websites since the 90s, actually. And for any Harry Potter fans out there, I am a Ravenclaw. Shocking, I know. So what are we going to learn today? First of all, you're going to learn the difference between an e-commerce platform and an e-commerce marketplace. We're going to compare some of the features of some of the most common platforms. We're going to, well, I've given you my tip list to get started, to kind of help you narrow down the options and what you need, from product listings, shipping information, and again, the social media promotion. So here we go. Let's do it. So platforms, what are they? And there are two different kinds. So an e-commerce platform is a standalone website that people can visit to purchase your products. You have hosted, which means they take care of all the technical stuff for you. And then you have self-hosted, which means you're in complete control of what you install on your server, which really gives you custom functionality that some of the other box sites might not offer. So one of the benefits of having a platform is that you can get up and running pretty quickly, sometimes even just a couple of hours, depending on the complexity of your product. The downside is that if you decide you don't like that platform, you can't just pick up and move, because that is what we call proprietary software. So they own the software and nothing else can run it but them. So unfortunately, if you do decide to move, you have to kind of redo your site. And as a startup, unless you're doing like hundreds of products, it's okay to do that. It's also okay to try a million of them to see which one's a good fit. For self-hosted, you're in control, again, of that platform, of product options. You have a way more customization. You can move your site anywhere you want, basically, and there's a lot more integrations with other software. Con is that there is a bigger upfront investment. You do need a web designer to kind of put it together. You have to worry about PCI compliance, which we'll talk a little bit about, and you're in complete control of the user experience. Luckily, there's lots of plugins and software that can integrate with your self-hosted platform that kind of takes the guesswork out for you. So it's not like you have to reinvent that user experience. However, as you know, there are certainly many platforms that we compare our shopping experience to. Who here can think of one? Just type it in chat. If you're looking to build an e-commerce site, what are you comparing it against? What are you comparing your store against? Who's your biggest competitor? Take some time and post in the chat and I'll come back to that. That's a really good question. You have to know who your competitors are. There you guys go. Okay, now we're talking. Yes, Amazon, Etsy, Amazon, yes, 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 and yes, all of those. So here are the best platforms. And these are kind of mixed in with hosted and self-hosted. So the first one, and I think is the most popular, is WooCommerce. Now, this integrates with a lot of stuff. They even have their own standalone box site, but what it's really known for is being self-hosted. You can install it on your server. And what's really cool is that you can white label it. So there's lots of software out there where we call it print on demand. And I'm going to show you an example later coming up because we use it on our site. But WooCommerce is great. It has so many plugins that you can install that customize the checkout experience. I'll go into detail. Shopify is definitely the #1 platform for selling products. It's a hosted solution, which means they take care of all the technical details and you just have to insert your product information. And a lot of these places do take a cut of your products or what you're selling. So that is kind of the downside to having a hosted platform, is that there's going to be more fees involved and they are going to take a cut. Squarespace, again, a very lovely builder. If you're only selling a couple of products, this might be a good builder to use. But if you have lots of products, then Shopify, I think, might be one of the best to equip that. BigCommerce, this is definitely for bigger businesses and enterprises. I think it rivals WooCommerce. Weebly, this is for like really simple websites and portfolios, really small stores, but you can use it if you're just starting out pretty inexpensively. I don't want to leave it out, but Magento is a CMS that's best used if you have a developer. You're not going to be able to find someone to kind of manage it as easily as if it were WordPress. Just keep that in mind. And then, of course, you have industry-specific ones, like what you guys just mentioned, Etsy, Society6, and more. Now, they're considered e-commerce marketplaces, and I'm going to touch on that too. So, all right, guys, forget my list for a moment, but what platforms are you thinking of using or you're currently using? What platform are you using or thinking of using? Regina, I did not mention Wix. You can sell on that one, though. I don't have personal experience with the e-commerce side of Wix, but they do offer that. And Wix is definitely one of the, it's definitely up there with the top builders, so you'd be okay to go with Wix. Etsy, Shopify, WooCommerce. I'm going to tell you why some of these are good ideas. Instagram is definitely a way to sell. You're alienating part of your audience. So it might be, I always think of selling on Instagram as kind of like a supplemental thing where you add products that target market is really looking to buy. So you can kind of customize that experience while still providing, you know, a whole other e-commerce platform. Surprisingly, you know, there is a difference between people who buy things on their desktop and people who buy things on their mobile app. So I would do some research into that to figure out that's where your audience is mostly. We do have a question from Jessica. Which one would be best for drop shipping and to sell your own? Okay, so I have an opinion on that, and I think it's WooCommerce and WordPress, mostly because I know how to do that and I can direct you. Not to say that no one else can do it, but the first thing that comes into my mind is WooCommerce. And I'll give you some examples on why when we dive into those platforms individually. So let's talk about the comparisons now that we've dropped a couple names here. You have WooCommerce, which is pretty big, 25%. Shopify, 20%. 10% is Magento. Green is OpenCart. Purple is BigCommerce, and 30% is other. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by your comments. These are good ones. My point of sale Lightspeed offers, but not sure if it's good. That's interesting, Tim, because a lot of point of sales don't really offer a really good online experience for online shopping. So definitely just talk to the representative about that and see, you know, what the pros and cons are. Just do your research. And I'm going to give you some great tips at the end here on how to help you decide which one's best for you. But yeah, so this is like the overall popularity of different platforms. And guys, you know, innovation's happening all the time and this can change. And just because yours isn't on the list, that's okay. But now you have at least something to compare it against. So perhaps you notice, I'm thinking about going with this company, but I'm noticing their fees are a little bit higher than everyone else. Why is that? And there's all sorts of really cool niche ones too. For example, there's a couple for photographers. One of them I really like is called Pixpa. I'm going to put this in the, not the best name ever, but I love it because it handles watermarks. It allows you to send proofs to your clients and sell all sorts of stuff on there. So that could be a really good solution if you're a photographer. But yeah, there's all sorts of cool niche ones popping up that are really good. Okay, so step one, in order to make a list of features you have to go through the whole user experience here. So think of it like this. Think about the checkout, and you can even get out a piece of paper and start drawing what this experience looks like. It can be very simple. You can use it, you can do it on an envelope. I'm going to do an envelope right now, but we call that wireframing. Okay, so let's see. The purpose of my website is to what? Let's say it's to sell shoes. Okay, so you're selling shoes. What should be front and center on the homepage? Shoes. And perhaps it's new featured shoes, not just all the shoes you sell, but new ones. So now people are excited and they have a reason to keep coming back to your website because you're putting out new products. How easy is it to buy a product? Let's say you click on a pair of shoes. How many options does that shoe have? Maybe there's a pointed shoe or a rounded shoe or recycled shoe or different sizes. So think about how many different products that's going to be, how many options a product is going to have. And then they add it to their cart. Okay, they can customize it. They go to checkout. How do you make that label? Do you offer free shipping? How is your shipping handled? Do you offer free track shipping? Do your prices even cover what the cost is of that? Do you want to make a label and pay UPS right away after you make that label based on the weight of the product? So you have to where's your products going to be stored? Where are you shipping out of? So you have different options like print on demand, which means that a company will handle that fulfillment. So example, I might just show you real fast since I'm already here. Oop. So for example, here, I designed this clutch bag, but what happens is this is actually synced from something called Printify. They offer all these white label products, and then you can put a design on them, right? And then when someone buys it, it looks like it's coming from Brand Swan, but really whoever's making this clutch is going to ship it from their place of business, and they're just going to print and do one as needed. So as opposed to saying buying all these products and keeping them in a warehouse or even in your home office, and then you actually handling it, how are those orders going to be fulfilled? So the cool thing is you have a lot of options, but the bad thing is you have a lot of options, right? So I'm info dumping you right now, but I promise it's going to feel a little less overwhelming as I go through this. But there's a lot to think about. So make a list of the features that absolutely have to have. And what do you base that off of? What how they expect to shop. So if you're selling products similar to Amazon, you better believe people are going to expect an experience like Amazon. But if you're doing something more crafty or something more niche, then you have other benchmarks that you want to kind of try to meet. So research is so important. Now, I put this together for you, and don't worry, you will get a copy of this presentation. Just some features of the most common platforms. And again, there's way too many to mention. And so knowing that these are the features of the most common, you'll be able to benchmark that against what you're doing, what you're looking at to see if what you're looking at is better. Maybe the price is a little bit cheaper. Maybe they don't offer certain things, but you don't really need that anyway. So there's some things you can do to kind of decide. So Shopify, it's subscription-based service. You pay it per month. They do have a really big version, like a pro version, but that's really for like big enterprises. It can get pretty costly, but for the normal company, you can add hundreds of products. Just pay per month. They take care of the payments and everything. They do support multiple payment gateways. And what a gateway is is who's processing the payments. And you can't just say Visa or MasterCard or Discover, right? There's a middleman between you and them. And there are two ways to look at it. One, if you have an actual brick and mortar store and you have a point of sale system, then you have to see if you, and you also plan to do online, they might want to check out and see if they have a cool online store option or integration. If it's too late for that, you're just going to have to go with a better solution. If you're a startup company, I usually recommend Stripe. It's very easy to set up. I think it's about 3% of fee that they take. And the more you do per month, then you can start looking at other merchant processors, and I can give you some recommendations if you need them. But usually it's about over 10,000 a month, and then you want to start to look at other solutions than just Stripe or PayPal. So just a little tip there. So these kind of go through, again, little comparisons, and there's several different sides of them. And the one thing you might want to take a look at is the support as well. How much support do you think you're going to need? And do they offer phone support, or do you have to do a ticket system? And are you okay with that? So the print on demand stuff I think is the coolest because you can customize products like apparel, home decor, kitchen items, and then you can design that product and then it will sync to your WooCommerce on your WordPress site. And then they handle all that fulfillment for you, which I love. So here's an example of Printify looks like. It's pretty boring, and I think that's on purpose because they want you to visualize your stuff on that, your designs on all this stuff. And they have more than just shirts, but there's Printify, there's Printful, which I don't know how they manage that. It's a little too close for comfort for me. Janik asks, who do you recommend other than Stripe? For new companies, PayPal's a great option. And both of those have like a subscription-based service where people don't know that you're using them, so it looks like a seamless experience. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of people that I recommend for merchant processing because really they're all the same for the most part. It really just depends on what integrates with your bank. I will say what I love about Stripe is that there's something called you guys might know this, but instant payout where you get a sale and it goes right into your account, which is awesome. So that's cool instead of waiting 3 days. So you just have to take a look and see, what works with what you're already using, what integrates with your QuickBooks if you're taking that into consideration for your accounting. I love integrations, but you do kind of have to look at the big picture and see how all these puzzles start to fit in and what features you just can't live without. Here's just an example of what that looks like. You can publish right to your WordPress here when you're done with this and setting your pricing and your profit margin and all sorts of fun stuff like that. Okay, Michelle, what does Printify work with? Just WooCommerce, or can you do print on demand with other platforms? Michelle, I believe they have a list you can go visit. There is a link in here and you can kind of see the other platforms that they integrate with. So we're going to touch on that one. Shopify, so this is the pro version and it starts about $30 a month. And, there are some social selling features, including a Facebook shop and Facebook Messenger where you can kind of sell through these items. It's fully hosted, so you don't have to worry about server maintenance, cost, PCI compliance, any of that, because they handle all that for you. Very easy to use. I think it's super easy to use for beginners. And there are a lot of themes to choose from. A little tip for me, don't go with a free theme unless you're just messing around to see if you like Shopify. But once you're committed, pick a theme and pick a good one. You could spend $30 to $300 on a theme. Now, Shopify uses kind of its own code base. So if you wanted to, say, customize a theme more than just the colors and fonts, you're going to need to hire a developer to really get in there to fix it. So I always say that you should just buy the theme you're super happy with. If you love the look of it, then just go with that and make it not industry specific. So let's say you're a chiropractor. Don't look for chiropractor themes because the chances of another chiropractor having your same theme is pretty high, right? Because they're thinking along those same wavelengths. So if you want to be super different, think of your brand and just go outside. Think if it's exciting, if it's organic, if it's honest and authentic, whatever it is, just think of a theme outside of your industry to kind of spruce it up. Yeah, so again, Shopify is one of the top ones. The fees are relatively pretty low. There's an active community for support and lots of third-party integration to customize your site. Cons. If you don't use Shopify's gateway, they charge you more to use your own. So let's say, you're really hell-bent on using Stripe, but because it integrates all your things, then you just have to suck it up and pay the extra fee to use that. There's no free plan. There's a free trial, so you can check out and see if you like it, but you can't use it for free in any real way. Not a whole lot of customizations based on the look of it. You do have transaction fees. There's no like B2B capabilities, and you might have to wait a little bit longer to get support, to get an answer from tech support. So just keep that in mind. And again, all these slides, by the way, have full reviews here you can click on for more information. I realize I'm giving you a lot of information in such a short amount of time. Shira, business to business. So really, Shopify is mostly catered to a B2C. It's more of like the person and not the business, since it's so product heavy, and as opposed to say service heavy. Squarespace. Okay, so this starts around 26. And again, prices might have changed since I researched this. But what's good about it is it does have features around SEO, which is search engine optimization, social media, customer engagement, blogging, which is great. Squarespace does have a blog. It's not super duper great, but it's there. It's fully hosted, so you don't have to worry about any of the server maintenance costs. The designs are really lovely. I mean, I think Squarespace looks the best out of all the other platforms. It has great online marketing features, and there's no transaction fees, which is awesome. So what's some downsides? There isn't like a POS you can put in your store. This is a strictly online solution. And it's not solely focused on e-commerce, so it's not going to do it as well as, say, an e-commerce focused platform like Shopify. And no phone support either. So if you're cool with that, be my guest. I'm an introverted millennial, so I love not talking to people. I really like the chat features. Wix Pros, here you go. We got Wix in here. So some advantages. Again, fully hosted, easy to use. There is a free forever plan. However, you can't use a custom domain, and I always think that looks unprofessional. And I really wouldn't try to get away with selling products on Wix unless it's just like a fun hobby that your friends trust you, they're cool, they know you're legit. But if you're doing like a business, it's not a good first impression to have like a domain name that says, bobsmith.wix.com as opposed to, billsmith.com, for example. Same, there's no native POS system. And Wix is great for building standard websites, and even longer like documentation websites are good for that. But there are a lot of design options, and that can be overwhelming. And I do feel like some of their stuff is a little dated. WooCommerce Pros. Okay, this is my favorite for those who prefer WordPress. Super customizable, plenty of integrations, and a very active community. The cool thing is that I know for a fact that it integrates with so many things. So, Facebook, MailChimp, ShipStation, Square, Stripe, Fulfillment by Amazon, and more. It's great for users who like WordPress. And I'm telling you, it's a really great piece of software. Now, I will say, though, that it does have updates, and sometimes it can be out of sync with WordPress a little bit. Now, I've had my online shop for years, and I think I've only had one issue where I had to wait for like an update so that my store would work, but I think it had already been put out there and I just had to update. So every now and then you want to kind of check it and make sure your store is so good. And it does sort of require that you have some sort of knowledge in WordPress. The WooCommerce plugin itself is free, but if you really want the awesome checkout experience to be able to customize that and factor in shipping, like you can even add on a plugin that calculates shipping in real time. And then the person can just pay the actual shipping cost that it would take to get your product to their house. And they would pay that. So you don't have to factor that in or do an upcharge or anything like that, especially since gas prices are really pretty high right now, and that's affecting ship costs. So just lots of plugins. I will say they even have plugins for nonprofits. So if you want like recurring donor subscriptions, they have that. If you want a membership website, they can do that too. And that's something that I don't think Shopify can really do as a membership type site. Okay, so if you do decide to go with self-hosted platforms, these are my 5 favorite hosts. There's more on here. I'm sure there is. And if you know of one that you really like, please share. I love to learn things every day. SiteGround is my absolute favorite. I think it set a precedent for what hosting should be now that websites can do so much cool stuff, right? So if you haven't updated your website in like 10 years, you're probably on a pretty antiquated hosting that might not be able to support all the cool things that websites can do now, like animation and just, you know, the speed that you really need to have that experience. So SiteGround for sure, Flywheel, Media Temple, InMotion, DreamHost. All of these are good. There's only one company, well, 2 companies I don't recommend. That's HostGator and GoDaddy. I'm sure some of you are on GoDaddy. They're so popular. I loved them decades ago, but they don't work with. They're slow to get on the trend of what's happening with the web industry, and I think they're getting out of their lane a bit. Because, you know, they're offering builders, they're offering support, they're doing web design too. So they're doing a lot of stuff. And because of that, I don't think you can do a lot of it well. Like a restaurant with a huge menu, you know, like what do they really do awesome? If you only have like 13 dishes, then you know they're all going to be fantastic and going to come off super fast. So how about Bluehost? Bluehost is okay. I had an issue with them because at the time you couldn't like get more resources, you couldn't pay for more. So basically their answer was, well, you just have to like scale down your website and make it do less cool stuff. And I didn't think that was an appropriate reply for like, you know, innovation. So that's why I left Bluehost, but maybe they're better now. Hostinger, I've heard of that one a lot recently. I don't have personal experience with it, but I would say if you compare it with the list of these, if you click on this, you will get to see their hosting prices, and you can see what's included, and then you can absolutely compare that to Hostinger to make sure that they're, you know, comparable and that the price makes sense. Just don't be fooled by this. You know, they give you $3 a month for the first year, but then after that it's $15 a month, like $180 a year, and that's pretty standard. So they get you in with a discount for the first year, and then the real price kicks in. All right, I'm gonna start taking questions now. I'm gonna answer some in the chat. If you want to do a Q&A, please feel free to ask in there. They take precedent over chat as I scan back here and see what I've missed. Okay. Okay, coming back to Michelle. Let me go back to Printify here. Let's see. I want to know what it integrates with. All right, here we go. Okay, so here is the integrations that they have. They have Shopify, they have Etsy, they have WooCommerce, my favorite. They have eBay, Squarespace, BigCommerce, Printify, Wix, Presta. So good news for those who were using any of these. You can do what we call white label products. And then you can, basically what you do is you build your products in Printify and then you sync it to your store and you sell it, and it's awesome. So yes, I hope that's helpful to you. All right. How about directory website? Regina, I'm not quite sure what your question is. Can you re-ask it in a different way? Carlin, Bluehost answered that. Courtney, I already answered that one. Rich, what about switching hosting from X to Y? If X to Y is the name of a company, I do not know it, Rich. But again, if you compare it with some of the features on my list, and if they are roughly similar and roughly the same price, and it's probably just as good. Michelle says, awesome. Thanks for telling me more about Printify. You're welcome. I just feel like whenever I learn something new, I have to tell the world about it. It's just a game changer, you know, because a lot of small businesses can't afford to buy all the products at once and then ship them out of their house, right? So this really allows it to happen. Okay. All right. Regina, I know this may not go with today, but what platform recommend for a directory website? I have a directory on our website, and I use WordPress, and then I add a directory plugin on top of it, and you can even take payments from it if you want. I'm going to give you my email address here. Email me, and then I will show you what I use for that. Rich, nope, the work of switching from one host to another. So Rich, the way that works is you have your domain name. And your domain name is kind of like the card catalog at a library. You pull out the card and it has records that tells you where that book lives on the shelf, right? And on that shelf, there are several other books. And that's what a hosting account is. You know, the hosting account is the shelf and the books are the individual websites. So all you really need to do is change that card catalog, aka the domain, to say that your website is now over here on the shelf. So you can move your host, assuming that you're not trying to move it from Squarespace, which has a proprietary software, nothing else can run it but Squarespace, to another host. Sometimes even do it for you for a small fee, like SiteGround will transfer your website over there for like $30, and then you're all set. You just have to tell the domain where your new hosting is, and then you can cancel your old one. Okay. Email. I need more than that. Okay. Anonymous attendee, if I want to sell services such as workshops or membership, do I need one of these products like WooCommerce? My website is built with WordPress. If you're using WordPress already, WooCommerce is definitely the best one to go with. And it can even do digital downloads. There's also something called LearnDash. This learndash.com. This integrates with WordPress, and you can build an entire course and certificates, and it's pretty great. It's a little pricey. It's like $300 a year with all the plugins that you need for it, but it's really cool. I built something like that for someone. It was a sexual harassment course for an insurance company. Okay, I answered that one. Tim, I am an outdoor retailer, lots of different SKUs, who started with GoDaddy but want to start selling online. Do you recommend just starting totally from scratch? I do. Also, if you are, trying to think, I had a client like yours who was very concerned about making sure that the wholesale customers felt like you weren't ripping the rug out from under them, so to speak. So you can even have like a setup where if they buy a certain amount, then they get this price. So that's how you can take care of that. But if you don't already have a store at GoDaddy or it's really small, I would probably just change it now to one of the other platforms, because they've been around a long time. GoDaddy's builder, not so much. They did upgrade the builder recently. Their e-commerce, I don't know a whole lot about. It's fairly new. I can't really verify it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But if you're finding that, you know, it's just not working for anymore, then there's time for a change for sure. Especially if you plan on growing into it and want more integrations and to do more cool things. Hope that helps. But you can definitely have, you can set up each product to be its own SKU, or you can do it in a way where you can set up one product with different options. And even though you see it as a separate SKU, the user sees it as just like different colors or different, you know, sizes and things like that. So yeah, I would definitely think about what your options are, what you need on your product options, and then go from there and pick the right platform. Cool. All right, I'll show you my step-by-step tips on how I make decisions on what platform to use coming up. Okay, question. This is from Robert. At what kind of volume of product would it become wiser to shift out of Printify and begin to search for better print, fulfillment, etc.? Well, I think it's if you need more than what they offer. So right now, if you don't like any of the options they have, like they don't have, trying to think, I think I looked like a planner. I don't think they had a customized planner I could do. If that's really important to you, then I look for something that can handle that. But I found that Printify and Printful, the two that I know of off the top of my head, were rather the same as far as what they offered, but they keep adding new products every month. So, they've got all sorts of cool stuff. Oh gosh. What do they have now? They have clothing, they've got accessories, they even have a phone case and all the phone sizes, towels, blankets, some pet things, like there's a pet mat you can do. So take a look. I even did an ornament for my team one year. So if what you want isn't here, then that's when you really need to start looking. And if you're doing a lot more volume, then you might want to contact someone who specializes in promo products and ordering in bulk. Because if you try to order 50 of these tote bags for something, you're gonna really spend a lot of money. So I hope that helps. Perla, I use PayPal with WooCommerce for payment and shipping costs. Okay. Is there a better merchant processor for shipping? PayPal is not giving me enough options and I can't customize my shipping costs the way I would like to. Okay, so the interesting thing about PayPal is that you can use it for merchant processing, but you don't have to use it to ship. So I would recommend there is a plugin for WooCommerce that will have you automatically ship using USPS, United States Postal Service, and then you can ship that way. And then you can customize that whole shipping thing where you can base, there's like so many options. You can base it on if they spend a certain amount, they get free shipping. Maybe the user can pick different shipping options, and it will automatically calculate the cost of that for you. Then you can print out a label, smack it on a package, and send it on its way. So I would definitely take a look at WooCommerce shipping. There is plugins for that. Just Google it and you will find it. If you email me, I can be more specific. Tim says Mahalo, which is not a word I know, but I'll probably gonna be looking that up. I'm not sure what that one is. You guys teach me stuff every day. Okay. All right, let's get back to this. All right, let's talk about marketplaces. Now, you guys know some of these. Twitch, SoundCloud, YouTube, Yelp, Spotify, Etsy, right? Apple Store, Booking.com, Airbnb, Uber, like all of these, Kickstarter, are what we call e-commerce platforms. And what's so valuable about them is that they bring the audience to you because they're already looking for what you're selling. Example, Etsy, really known for handmade items, unique, one of a kind. So if someone's looking for that, they're gonna go right to Etsy, and that really narrows down the chance that you're gonna be found, as opposed to searching all of Google, right? Oh, Hawaii, okay. All right. I need a context there, I didn't get that one. So it's really great to start on one of these, especially if you don't know anyone and no one knows who you are, they don't know your products, you're trying to get the word out there. This is a great way to do it, is to start at a marketplace. What are the negatives? Well, they take a lot of your money. So usually they're pretty easy to get started. They handle all the payment processing. They do the marketing to bring the clients to you, really. It gives you higher visibility and a chance to be found by your target audience. Many to choose from, and they can sometimes replace the need for a website, especially when you're a startup. Cons, they take a big chunk of your profits. Sometimes they have listing fees, and if you don't sell it, you're still paying these listing fees for product that isn't selling, right? You don't have a lot of control over how your store looks or works. You're just stuck with what they give you. there's not a whole lot of options for customization in that case. And I will say that there is a lot of outside communication needed for more customized orders. So for example, I was looking for a tablecloth. I ordered it, but I had to upload my file to them in a different location, and it can get a little messy. Not a great user experience, but it'll get the job done. And not super great for SEO. They just don't give you all the tools that like a WordPress site could give you. So pick a marketplace that makes sense for your industry. And if you do well and you outgrow it, that's great. And then you can go to another platform. I have a friend who started making handmade soap. She blew up. She had a website. She still sells on both. But obviously she makes more of her website. So she tries to bring people there with deals because, you know, but now that she's so well known, people would absolutely go to her platform, make a separate account just so they can buy her soap. All right, what marketplace are you guys using or thinking of using? What marketplace are you using or thinking of using? I know we had some Etsy users in here. Amazon definitely is a third party. They have a marketplace. I hear they take a big chunk too, don't they? Marketing food in Philly, that might not be a marketplace kind of product. Robert, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't think this one would be a good place for you. The marketplace, not so much. Especially if you are, well, yeah, you need a marketing company for that. That's us, you can message us. But there's not a platform I can think of that would help you with that. Mostly because people need to be in person to eat food. So yeah, all of these places are good, guys. So anyone have any questions about the marketplace versus the platform? You might have some questions. That's okay, I'll keep answering them. So try before you buy is my biggest tip. It's okay to make 10 accounts just to see which one works best for you. And it really comes down to final product, guys. You know, like you might love the experience of something, but maybe they don't have the product you want. Like when we did our mugs, I really wanted the one with the black handle and the black interior. And if they didn't have that, I felt like it wasn't really on brand for us. So I found one that offered that. It can be as silly as that, you know, but you have to see what the whole process looks like from start to finish. You gotta test it out and see. Here is the plan to selling, right? You get your domain name. You pick your platform or your marketplace. You figure out who's going to process your payments. And again, the platforms will really hook you up with that already. They'll give you options. Then you have to figure out how you're going to ship or deliver. Maybe it's just a download. And then, of course, integrations to customize it. So this is really how to plan to shop online. And step 0 is research. Who are your competitors? Is your idea a good one? I know that sounds terrible, but if someone were to come to me and say, hey, I want to make a website like Amazon, here's my money. And I would be like, what makes you different? If they couldn't answer that question, I wouldn't take their money because I know I couldn't make that successful. There has to be some meat to it. You know, it has to be its own thing, has to be different. You have to be, even if you do all these things, you need to be known for one thing or you'll be known for nothing. That's something I keep in mind. It's okay to have a signature style, but still do other things. So research, see what people are doing and how you are unique, your unique value proposition. Step 1, the actual step 1 is plan. What internal systems are you using and what do they integrate with? Because for me, I'm always thinking about how can I improve my life? How can I make my systems work for me? Because it's really awesome when they do work for you to give a personal assistant on your website. You know, think about it. If you get let's say you get an order and it automatically goes into your CRM, and now you have a record of that. You didn't have to manually enter anything. It's a time saver. So take a look what you currently have and what they integrate with, and start making decisions based on that. QuickBooks, for example, I have a client who really wanted to use QuickBooks and send invoices and stuff out that way. And so we made that her payment processor. So even Intuit has a payment processor you can use. There's lots of them out there, and they all do the same thing. Just pick the one that works for you, really. And again, build your brand, unique value proposition. How is your store unique? Why do people care about it? Why should they care? What problems are you trying to solve, and what makes you better? Come up with a good domain name, something memorable and not too long. Fight the urge to get a .biz or .net because .com is not available. Get creative. Little story about Brand Swan. Brand Swan was a name that wasn't taken at all. But for some reason the .com was taken, and someone was selling it for $1,500. And I was so irritated. I'm like, you don't even know this company, but whatever. We got brandswan.design because we're a design company. We thought it's clever. Eventually, we did go back and buy that domain name for $1,250 or $1,200 or something. And no regrets about that, because, you know, it's nice to have the .com. We still promote the .design because that makes us more memorable. But now that there's so many cool extensions for domain names, try to you know, get creative. There's .ninja, .life, all sorts of stuff. What kind of products or services are you selling? So the shopping experience is really one of the most important steps. What options do the products have? You know, you really need to know this before we decide on a platform just because it looks good. Can it do what you want it to do? Step 5, don't forget shipping or how downloads get to the buyer. So if someone buys something, how do they get it? How do you ship that out? Are you using a third party like a print-on-demand company, or do you have a warehouse and that does it for you? How do you calculate shipping? Do you build it into the product and just say free shipping? Or include shipping to be more authentic here? But how are you going to ship it? What's that going to cost you when you ship it out? Figure all that stuff too before you even pick your price for your products. Then you want to fine tune the experience. Get your friends and other random people to just buy a product and see if they get stuck anywhere. You know, like what can you do? Can you make sure that they can save their credit card for a faster checkout? Now, this is just for hosted sites, because if you do that on a non-hosted site, you have a lot of PCI compliance regulations you have to follow, and that can be difficult. So maybe don't do that. But walk through that whole experience step by step. Marketing. Here are the ways to get traffic to your store. Search engines. And again, make sure that they're narrow enough that it makes sense. So if you want someone to get to your website for shoes, not going to happen. Now, let's start narrowing it down. Red shoes, not going to happen. Upcycled shoes, getting closer. Upcycled red shoes, getting closer, you know, like, so comfortable, you know, comfortable red upcycled shoes. Now you're really starting to hit home on where you can rank and find those people. Marketplaces, again, you can build up your repertoire and get reviews from the people that can vouch for you. You know, let's say you made something, it was great, you shipped it out quickly, they're happy. Those reviews can follow you wherever you go. So make sure you get those reviews, because when you have reviews, people trust you. In the meantime, get your friends and family to buy some stuff so you can start building up that, because no one wants to buy from a company that hasn't yet made a sale. Even if you've only done 5 sales, like that's enough. Social media is a great place to advertise. It is a slow burn, and it's a place where we're completely bombarded by advertising every day. So it can't be generic. Canva's a great way to do graphics. If you need to do that, it's a great way to do marketing. And that's Canva. Janique, I have not, well, Trends at Google, yes, but none of the others I work with. Not to say they don't have their uses. I just have never, I specialize in more organic local marketing. So if you're a more national company, they can definitely be more helpful. But I always say you have to start somewhere in your backyard before you can go national. All right, step 8 is utilize tools and add-ons. So just look and see what's out there. Your mind will be blown when you see some of the stuff you can get. You know, you can use coupon code to drive promotions, to get the word out for sure. But yeah, just pick a platform that can help you with marketing and all that stuff. Depending on where you decide to put your commerce site, you can do a lot of cool stuff. So for example, WordPress, WooCommerce, you can install like a booking plugin. So what happens is people come to my website and they book with me. They can take a payment. It'll tell them the time and the place. You can have it synced to your calendar. So it checks your calendar and then lets people know if that's available or not. And think about it. That's the number one reason why people don't have booking calendars on their website, because it's like a standalone thing that doesn't check to see if you're actually available. So that's why they use it, but they'll do it manually, like on the phone with them, looking through their calendar first. But doing it this way and have it synced to your calendar is really where that roadblock is. So those integrations are so key. Inventory tracking, huge. Shipping calculators, lead capturing forms, especially if you're selling a more expensive product. You know, so if I had like a $5,000 website on there, I'm not going to get as many conversions as say a $20 pair of shoes, right? So you do have to kind of keep it in proportion to how much your product is and how long you're really courting someone for before they feel comfortable buying with you. So Garba, do you want to do your thing before I take more questions?
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. Hey guys, as usual, I just posted a 30-second survey about today's webinar. Remember, we at Tempo SPDC, we always cherish your feedbacks, even as it helps us in improving the services we provide to you guys at a low cost, and it's also required by our funders. So please kindly take 30 seconds of your time and help us to fill out the survey. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, go ahead and type your last questions in here, guys, and I'll get them in. Tim asked, would one have both a platform and a marketplace? For example, I would use Lightspeed platform and locally.com for marketplace. You can sell anywhere you want. You know, we're part of many directories. You know, we're part of Google business page, we're, you know, Bing business page and Instagram. You know, we're constantly on different platforms to sell ourselves to the audience that lives there, right? So you can absolutely do both, especially because again, the self-hosted option can be a bigger upfront investment. So you might need to generate sales from your marketplace first before you can invest in this. If you can do both, that would be great. And then what you want to do is you want to give incentive for them to go to the website because you make more money here, but you have to make it worth for them to go to make an account, right? So that would be the hard part. I will say, just in case I didn't quite answer your question right, as you saw, you can definitely use Printify for both your Shopify website and WooCommerce. You probably have more than one store on there too. Okay, good questions, guys. Now I have to look up all the stuff I don't know. What do you do, Janique? Hope I said that right. Gonna hold on to that. Any other questions? Yeah, I hear you. It's a lot. Yeah, I tend to be very like goal oriented. So I'm like, what are you trying to accomplish? How do I get there? And sometimes it's not what you think. Sometimes it's not a website. Sometimes it might be a brand. That's really where you need to start so that people, you know, yeah. So whatever your goals are, I kind of approach it from that standpoint as opposed to just because sometimes it doesn't matter what tool you use, that you're using a tool. So don't get too hung up on the details because if you get to the point where you're like, wow, what I'm using isn't helping me anymore, that's a good place to be. because that means that you've experienced, your products have upgraded, you need more, and that's because you've done more. So it's not the end of the world if you're locked into a place, because I think at some point things completely redesign, once the industry changes and there are new challenges in the industry. See Cosette, a heads up on that. So a platform is a company that hosts everything for you. For example, Squarespace. So you can go to Squarespace will give you a website and you can sell on Squarespace. A marketplace is something like Etsy, where it hosts a search for all sorts of different shops on that one platform. So people go there for that specific type of product. So eBay, what do we think about when we think of eBay? We think of like maybe used products or products that are no longer made and people are really looking for that vintage t-shirt or perfume or something. So each marketplace kind of has like something they're known for, and people go to that reason. And what happens is, if you have a product like that, that's just getting the customer a little bit closer to you because they're kind of bringing you in like a captive audience in a way. And then you just have to worry about performing against other shops in that marketplace, as opposed to all of Google, for example. All right, cool guys. Thank you so much. I mean, you had such good questions, and you'll get there. Don't worry. It's a little bit overwhelming, but just start with the goal, the purpose, what you need out of your shopping experience, and then what will integrate with your current stuff. And from there, you'll be on a path to picking the right platform. All right, I think that's it. Okay. You are so welcome.
Before we wrap it up for the day, just want to thank each and every one of you guys for keeping it a day with us. Jen, thank you for a wonderful presentation. And of course, to my Temple Expedition colleagues, thank you guys for your usual cooperation and your usual support. Without them, we wouldn't have been here. In the absence of any other question on board, I guess we'll just call it off for the day. Thank you, and do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.